Produced by the directors of Endgame, one of the biggest movies of all time, and starring Joel McHale, Lauren Graham, Candice Bergen, and Robin Williams, with names like that, you know you're getting a good time and a great movie. Unless, of course, the script is shit. A Merry Friggin' Christmas came out in 2014. I never saw it, and it just caught my eye on Amazon Prime Video for one reason: Robin Williams. Obviously. I was surprised there was a movie of his that I hadn't seen, even if it was just one of the smaller, obscure ones that he did. I'm also a really big fan of Community, and while you can argue that Joel McHale could be the weakest cast member, I figured together this would be a decent movie. The basic plot is Joel and Robin play father and son. Robin and Joel play father and son. A relationship that has been strained for Joel's character's entire life. Solely because Robin is the stereotypical grumpy Gus father that absolutely shit all over his little boy's dreams and beliefs when it came to stuff like Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, etc. Anyway, flash forward a couple decades and Joel finds himself driving his entire family to his father's house to spend the holidays. Something neither he nor his father is looking forward to. Then, when it's discovered that the presents for Joel's little boy were all left back at home in Chicago, yeah, these two opposing forces unite to save Christmas. So the setup is great. You would expect a bunch of hijinks and crazy situations for these two comedians to find themselves in. And I mean, I guess there are a few situations that they do find themselves in. Unfortunately, it's all very forgettable. The thing is this movie really relies on very lowbrow humor. You have some pretty over-the-top stuff like the dad shooting a squirrel and feeding it to his son when he finds out that he doesn't eat red meat. And you have the son's wife, played by Lauren Graham, and his mother, played by Candice Bergen, getting absolutely shit-faced in the attic while all of the children are in the basement getting up to all sorts of shenanigans. Now, full disclaimer, I do like lowbrow comedy, and quite frankly, we don't get enough of it anymore. And while I did find myself enjoying this movie on a certain level, my biggest complaint is that there just wasn't enough of it. They didn't go far enough with pushing the envelope, they didn't give the characters crazy enough situations, and they sure as hell did not utilize Robin Williams to his full potential. He gives an okay performance, but it could have been so much better. Sure, what he does is entertaining, but solely for the fact that it's Robin Williams, not because the performance itself is amazing. The character is far closer to something you would see in Death to Smoochie rather than Patch Adams. But it wasn't the first time that family-friendly Robin Williams did something like this, so it doesn't have that unique factor. And because of that, it came across a little bit bland. Best scene in the movie is where a trio of the characters are talking about different ways to dispose of a body. That was pretty well done, and it finally felt like the envelope was being pushed. They just needed more stuff like that, and then that more stuff to go even further, and they would have really had something that could have stood right next to stuff like Bad Santa. And only being an hour and about 27 minutes in runtime, I mean, sure, it moves quick, but I think in the end, it really ended up hurting the movie more than anything. You don't hear that very often. Usually it's like, oh, they could have cut out 15 minutes here, or 5 minutes there. A whole 20 minutes would have made this whole movie so much better. No, here, add another 20 minutes. That would have allowed for more crazy, stupid, pushing the envelopes, inappropriate, low-bow, over-the-top stuff for these characters to do and get into. Up to. I'm a little upset about it, apparently. But they may have needed some better writers in order to get that done. And I don't think whoever it was that wrote this were the people to do it. They should have gotten story credit, and then they should have brought in like the writers from Bad Santa. I'm just spitballing, but you know, somebody who knows what they're doing and is willing to push that envelope. So since this is the world we find ourselves in, with A Merry Friggin' Christmas being what it is, I guess it's good that it's as short as it is. Now, to put this for someone like me that does like lowbrow humor and will watch this movie regardless, on a certain level, it was fun to watch Robin Williams and Joel McHale banter back and forth, but to be honest, it comes across far more mean than anything else, so that right there will mean that this movie is not for everybody. It's just stuff like that that makes me wonder how much better this movie could have been with a little tighter writing and possibly even better direction. Seeing Joe and Anthony Russo's names pop up at the end as executive producers leads me to believe that they saw this script and they saw some potential on the page. Unfortunately, they just couldn't bring that to life in any sort of way that's memorable. While I did enjoy this movie, I tend to like oddball, screwball, dark humor Christmas movies. Think of stuff like Christmas with the Cranks, that's more screwball, and even Surviving Christmas. Does anybody remember that movie with James Gandolfini and Ben Affleck? But that being said, when it comes to A Merry Friggin' Christmas, I can't rate it any higher than a 5 out of 10. That's probably even being generous. It's a weak effort, and that's obvious. But if you have a more untraditional sense of humor, then you might get a kick out of it, kind of like I did. So what about you? Have you seen A Merry Friggin' Christmas? Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next one.